The photographic chamber of the A. Records bear painted walls, while an electric light lays the chromium nerves of plumbing raw. Such poverty assaults the ego. Caught naked in the merely actual room, the stranger in the lavatory mirror puts on a public grin, repeats our name, but scrupulously reflects the usual terror. Sylvia Plath, Tale of a Tub. Be sure to share this video, and be sure to give us a like and subscribe and hit the bell. Let me know what you think in the comments. Smash the like button, give us a like, make sure you subscribe to me channel. Cultural milestones come and go, but every now and then we are privileged enough to experience something so profound and important. It not only defines a generation, it changes the world. And right now, in the era of new media, creative for streaming, only the video that is still beginning to define its own identity, we can clearly pinpoint the apotheosis of generation-defining web series, which intersects altruism, accessibility, technical skill, and philosophy. I am talking, of course, about the YouTube series How to Cake It with Yolanda Gump. During the course of an episode of How to Cake It, Yolanda challenges herself with the creation of a novelty cake, usually in the shape of a real-life object, often a tie-in with a relevant pop culture artifact that she has obviously never seen, and usually draped in fondant, the most disgusting foodstuff man has yet cruelly devised. A typical How to Cake It episode goes as follows. First, Yolanda bakes her cake, usually double-digit pounds of it. Then she soaks the cake in simple syrup from her tool, which her commenters have named Sir Squeeze a lot, Sir Squeeze for short. You can buy your very own Sir Squeeze at her website. Then she begins to ice the cake, before promoting her paid service, Camp Cake, where you can bake and decorate a cake with Yolanda in real time. Then she carves the cake into the right shape, while asking a question for you to leave a comment, which will up engagement and be more favorable to YouTube algorithm. Which issues? Why will you will you forward to Then she crumb coats and chills the cake, before mentioning her T-shirt club, asking for shares, promoting her second channel, and then removing the chilled cake to do the final icing. Then she mentions her monthly sprinkle service, which you can subscribe to. Then she drapes her cake in the horrible, horrible fondant, before then reminding you to subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Then the decoration begins. After which she reminds you that you can buy more of her merchandise at her website. And during the hours of meticulous decorating, she also reminds the viewer to buy her book. a tactic which only a sucker would fall for. As of August 2018, How to Cake It has amassed 3.8 million subscribers in about 3 years. And in that 3 years, the show has grown from 1 or 2 calls to action within a given episode to, on average, 11 calls to action in an episode. Your average episode of How to Cake It is almost more call to action than it is cake making at this point. For those of you who are not hep to the lingo, or who have never had a social media manager of some sort, a call to action is where, in the content of a video, the host asks the viewer to do engagement with the content in a more active way than just sitting on your ass for 11 minutes, 17 minutes. This can be as small as asking me for you to smash that like button, or to ask for shares, or suggesting that you use me, Earl, to go build your own beautiful Squarespace website. Calls to action are somewhat unique to only media. If you rehosting a cooking show on Food Network, you can't exactly ask someone to leave a comment on their cable channel. I guess you can, but calls to action are not completely unique to only media. One key to the popularity of RuPaul's Drag Race is their prevalence on social media, which is not only encouraged by RuPaul soliciting calls to action. I want to hear from you, the fans. Who do you think deserves the crown? Are you Team Aquaria? Team Asia? But by the structure of its show lending itself to easy sharing. Not today, Satin. I'll be thirsty. Bitch. Miss Vanjie. Miss Vanjie. Vansiange. Miss Vanjie. The secret to Yolanda's success is not, of course, the calls to action. Those gradually rose as her subscriber count did. If you look at earlier episodes of How to Cake It, you see that there are a very few calls to action, and most of them are requests for likes and subscribes, with subscription services, merchandise, and camp cake being gradually added through the years and months. Early episodes are actually very conventional and more in the vein of your typical Food Network show. But about 5 months after the channel launched, in the Flower Pot of Cake episode published on May 5th, 2015, a new element is introduced. Then I measure the circumference. Do I look tired? No. Circumference. The giggle you hear is the voice of producer Jocelyn Mercer, and her presence in the series, interacting with Yolanda from off-screen, only increases from here to the point where now it's a feature of the show. Why are they called gym leaders? I guess they actually like in gyms, and then so you work your way through the gym. So it's a workout game. This element proves engaging, and in the following months, there's a correlation of increased interaction between the production crew and the host. In effect, Yolanda breaks down the facade that is production. She jokes with her producers. She jokes with her cameramen. Are Americans going to get mad at this? Sometimes she even jokes with her editor, who is not in the room. The series went from the occasional fourth wall breaks to fourth wall breaks being a part of the show's identity. Oh, that's a good one. Yo. If you could just pull that, yeah, perfect. Yolanda and her producers have effectively figured out not only how to market a curated version of her personality, but with how she interacts with her crew. I don't think they as technique as the finishers, but they definitely have pins. And the interactions with the crew make the show feel more authentic. You feel like you're just, in the room, hanging out, laughing about this elaborate cake that looks like agent turkey. Now pop your turkey cake in the fridge. I'm doing way too much of this. This falls into line with the appeal of YouTube in general, that it strips away the polished facade of television to give you something more real. We should send every rapper a newsletter without this info. Just use the same word. Guys. Just use the same word. Every sentence in the song ends with the same word. Yolanda can get away with her 11,000 calls to action per episode, not in spite of this fourth wall breaking format, but because of it. Owning the fact that a polished production like this is in fact a group effort. This isn't just a show. You know, we just hanging out, laughing about this cake. We just having fun. We just have a thing. You must chill this cake. Thine must chill. I don't know if it's thine. I don't know. To be clear, this is not a call out. How to Cake It has a clear and effective business model, and Yolanda Gump is both an engaging personality and a talented artist with fondant. I do find the calls to action distracting, but I loyally watch every episode of How to Cake It, and yes, I own her goddamn book. And no, I have not attempted to make a single one of these cakes. But there is something special, innovative, dare I say, lucrative, in the style and format Yolanda and her colleagues have devised. And other companies have begun to take notice. The medium is the message. YouTube was founded in 2005 by 3 former PayPal employees, Chad Hurley, Steve Chen, and Jawad Karim. The idea for YouTube in part was inspired by Jawad Karim's difficulty in finding and watching videos online of Janet Jackson having her tit exposed by Justin Timberlake during the Super Bowl halftime show. Based on a failed prior project, a video dating site called TuneIn Hookup, by February of 2005, the trio had agreed to set work on the YouTube project, with Chen and Karim taking technical duties and Hurley taking on a managerial/administrative role. In April of 2005, their very first video was uploaded to YouTube, a video of Jawad hanging out at a zoo. The cool thing about these goos is that they have really long trunks. And no one ever wanted for videos of wardrobe malfunctions ever again. And that's pretty much all there is to say. So what does YouTube offer as a medium? Arguably, YouTube offers anything you want, but the platform specializes in certain niches that flourish on this platform more than they do elsewhere. Blogs, makeup tutorials, video games, screamer, adder, and DAI channels make up a huge percentage of successful channels. But the form that both originated and flourished on the format and remains the most popular are the slice of life bloggers. To this day, the biggest channels on the platform, with the likes of Logan Paul and PewDiePie, even if they specialize in a subcategory like video games, are, in effect, slice of life bloggers. Fundamentally, YouTube lifts the barrier between the content creator and the viewer. Decades prior, television had come into people's homes and given us the likes of news anchors and late-night talk show hosts to provide a friendly public figure, a personality that people find recognizable, relatable, and also a bridge to the world of celebrity. But with YouTube, we strip away the artifice. Indeed, even in the name of the platform, the person uploading the video controls what goes on their channel. YouTube is the medium of authenticity. Someone simply records a video, edits it as they please, and uploads it to their millions of subscribers. No middleman. YouTube is the response to the demand of a younger audience, hungry for what they consider authentic. And because of this perceived authenticity, audiences give a great deal more latitude with the sale of certain things. For instance, sprinkle services and t-shirt clubs. This observation was brought to you by Squarespace. With Squarespace, you can design a beautiful website designed by professionals that know what they're doing. Not like me. But even from the beginning, there are blurred lines between slice-of-life daily vlogs and authentic fiction. One of the earliest breakthrough channels was Lonely Girl 15, which launched in the summer of 2006 and was, for a time, the most subscribed channel on YouTube. Anyway, so Daniel is really mad right now, and I don't know if he'll be allowed to come over anymore. The series initially presented as an authentic YouTube video diary, but gained even more notoriety when it was outed as being completely fictional in September of the same year. It is noteworthy that the big controversy around Lonely Girl 15 was the revelation that Lonely Girl 15 was, in fact, an actress, and that her daily vlogs were fictional and completely fabricated. Part of the appeal of YouTube is its perceived authenticity, but even if there is no network or middleman, everything that is uploaded to YouTube is cultivated by the creator. And is it fair, therefore, to say that what Lonely Girl 15 is trying to sell you is any less authentic than Logan Paul? I guess what I wanted to ask you was why you decided to be. Why you choose. I didn't decide to be a YouTuber. Does anyone? I didn't decide to be a YouTuber. It just called to you. Well, there wasn't no, there was, like, there were no YouTubers. It was 2007. There was not a such thing as a YouTuber. So here's a question. Do you, okay, so like, the stuff you were supposed to do, like, calls to action, and do you ever consciously, like, incorporate stuff like that, like stuff that's supposed to improve metrics? No, I mean, the things that I do to improve metrics are, like, a good title and a good thumbnail, and I don't think beyond that. Like, the algorithm changes too much for my old man self to be trying to keep up with it. But no, I mean, I do calls to action because when I want somebody to take an action. I do calls to action when this tells me what to say. Yeah. And it's like, someone on Twitter actually, like, called me out on that. They were like, it's weird hearing you do a call to action. It's a very not on brand. And I am like, oh yep, you rewrite. Influencer culture. I hated that term. I hate everything about it. Both of those words mean nothing. I think that you could see Squarespace /Dear Hank. No, no. This This video is going to be sponsored by Squarespace if they clear it. Okay. This video where I'm highly critical of influencer culture. Hey, I like if you're going to influence people to do something like, if you're going to have a website, you might as well use Squarespace. That's their new motto. You know what? Just fucking do it. Just stop. Squarespace. Just fucking do it. Don't try to be all fancy and shit. You don't know what you redoing. Just get a Squarespace. Come on. It's good. We're really good at this. The medium is the message. See, I forgot his first name, Marshall. The medium is the message. Marshall McLuhan, 1960. What? McLuhan. McLuhan. Yeah. Around when Yolanda Gump started using the joshing with producers gimmick, her subs started going way up. And by mid-minus 2016, she swelled past 1 million subscribers. And around this time, on July 26, 2016, venture capital-funded startup Craftsy began publishing the first episode of their own cake show. Sometimes you need more than just to know how to cake it. Sometimes you need a man about cake. Hey guys, welcome to Man About Cake. Craftsy was a startup service that specialized in hobby and lifestyle tutorials and craft education that was launched in 2011 by a bunch of former eBay executives. One of the contributors who featured in content behind this paywall was pastry chef and sugar artist Joshua John Russell. I want your stencil resting against your cake board to help make sure it does to shift around. Who began staring in content for Craftsy in 2012. But in November of 2014, the company raised another $50 million in financing, and lo and behold, they got their own fancy cake show starring Joshua John Russell, featuring drastically improved production values and a whole new format. One that seems strangely familiar. By the way, the milkman came today and dropped this on my door. I don't know why I put it in this container. Is it bad that I find that incredibly sexy? It is sexy. Sword baby is about to be born. Boom. It's a boy. It's a boy. Okay, so if, like you, reintegrating a new cake show into your caketube diet, only that admittedly does have more polished production values than your old hat, it may feel seamless at first. And this sort of thing is perfect for you to put on in the background of whatever it is that you're redoing and not really paying attention to. But if you watch enough Man About Cake, you start to notice something. What bird did that come out of? It's like a robin's egg. No, robin's eggs are very, very pale. Oh, hey, I'm the guy that makes novelty cake t-shirts and Joshua has all of them. Our birthday. It's our birthday. It's for the viewers. These guys are mic'd. Oh, James, who's that guy? That's Mike. Say hi, Mike. What's up, Mike? Hello. That's a lavalier Mick. Name the dragon. Go ahead, Brandon. Frank the Tank. Like the sound cop from the producers on How to Cake It is either the onboard Mick or from Yolanda's lavalier Mick. I'm a single mama. I'm a single mama. But on Man About Cake, everyone on the set has a lavalier Mick. Like, this is a lavalier. It's not. It was a third joke. And then you start to notice other things, like their use of props. Dobby. Celebrate. Yay. Who? That was the best thing that ever happened to him. Guys, I didn't notice there were balloons right above me. All balloons. Or their use of sound effects. I'm gonna kill these balloons. That pop was added in post. You are fired. You re-fired. Their use of relationships within the show. Trim these corn. You better watch that knife. Do you see this shirt? That does not say maybe. I will cut you. Yeah, you know. We re just some guys joshing around, just you know. Being bros, making some cake as you do. A weird and unnatural dynamic that Russell calls out in the very first episode of Man About Cake. Joining me is me all-male crew, which is not weird at all that four guys would just be hanging out talking about cake, but that's what we do. And when you spend hours watching this show, as I have, you start to realize that this was just a natural dynamic between the host and the crew that eventually got incorporated into the show, like in How to Cake It. This was part of the pitch. The banner for their YouTube show isn't just the host, it's the host and these three guys facing away from the camera. You go onto their website and there are like bios for each of the camera guys, you know, camera guys, but they don't have surnames or any defining attributes, and their eyes are blacked out like they re-in goddamn witness protection. So it's like this entire show was built around this scaffolding of bras joshing with each other while making a cake. Let's do it. Woo! That was the best thing that ever happened to me. Man About Cake. More like Man About Fake. The plan base just like we redone. But a YouTube show can to be like the obvious way more fake genre of reality shows. It instead has to embrace this manufactured authenticity already pioneered by shows like How to Cake It. But here's the thing, How to Cake It has a really clear business model. Obtrusive at this point, and honestly kind of distracting, but I get it. I get why the show exists and what its business model is, and I can respect that. But Man About Cake has hardly any calls to action. Also on occasion they'll do, like Quandas, they'll do Instagram-based contests. They'll ask for comments, but that's it. The vast majority of the Man About Cake calls to action are all about building engagement. And here's the thing, Man About Cake's channel doesn't have that many more subscribers than I do, and I know what kind of money these numbers pull. Ad revenue alone cannot pay for a show that looks this nice. Tastes like 1 million subscribers. And in 50-odd episodes, I still don't really understand what their business model is. What are you trying to sell, Man About Cake? You just going to get a lot of footage of me looking sad. I was hoping to get it from different angles, but it's genuine. Literary critic Mary Larry reinstates that we are more likely to be affected by what happens to people we know than by the fate of strangers. And YouTubers who have shared their lives with their subscribers for several years, in hundreds or, in some cases, thousands videos, can feel more familiar to some audiences than real-life acquaintance who have the As we see in reality shows, there is a viewer fascination with what Rian calls higher cognitive emotions, i.e. shame, excitement, sadness, embarrassment. In 2007, vlogger Chris Crocker became one of the first YouTube stars with an emotional appeal defending pop singer Britney Spears, who was at the time going through a variety of personal crises and being hounded by the paparazzi and press. "You re lucky she even performed for you bastards. Leave Britney alone." Part of the viral appeal to this video is, in part, that the emotions are so extreme and sincere that they push the viewer to a place of discomfort, and the best way to deal with that discomfort is to make Crocker the target of ridicule, of parody. Leave him alone. Leave Chris Crocker alone. Leave him alone. But more to the point, that the emotions, over the top that they may be, rayed as sincere, and in this new marketplace of YouTube, sincerity and authenticity are the valuable commodities. Reality was hugely popular when YouTube came onto the scene, and remains hugely popular even in our world with YouTube, but with reality there is more of an understanding that there is little real in what the viewer is watching. With the medium of YouTube, the rules, that is to say, the understanding between the creator and the viewer, are a little different. The videos on your personal channel were, I guess, a little more stream of consciousness-y. Yeah, just like my day at VidCon and stuff like that, whereas a guess, the show and stuff is obviously the most scripted. And I think the interesting thing with the stuff you do, and this though, the Vlogbrothers channel is you have a different cadence in the way they, I have the videos of how it, I have the, I have lots of friends who are YouTubers, and some of them, I am like, you sound nothing like your YouTube self, and they like, I don't have any idea what you're talking about. And it's just like, you have a different voice when you re-narrating a video. It's just different. It's completely different. But some people sound exactly the same, and they make the same jokes, they make the same facial expressions, nothing is different. And I think usually when people meet me, they re surprised that I'm short, and that I compulsively apologize for existing, which you don't do in your videos. No, because people kind of have, even me friends air like, whoa, you just seem like such a hard ass. Yeah, you re competitive in the videos and in real life, you are not. I don't know. I don't think I am competitive in videos. I think it's just because I'm a woman, and speaking with any kind of confidence feels aggressive. That is true. You know, you re not wrong. The term emotional labor comes from Arlie Hochschild in her book, The Managed Heart, and was her contribution to discussions of effective and immaterial labor. According to Hochschild, emotional labor requires to induce or suppress feeling in order to sustain the outward countenance that produces the proper state of mind in others. Her research found that in working with affect, managing one's emotions can be physically tiring in the same way that manual labor is, and that the commodification of emotion estranges workers from their own feelings. More attention has been paid in recent years to emotional labor in a context of intimate relationships, i.e., the idea that romantic relationships, the onus falls more on woman to manage the emotions both of herself and of her partner. But Hochschild was more interested in emotional labor as it pertains to a capitalist commodity. In Hochschild's analysis, not only is seeming to love the job part of the job, but actually trying to love it and to enjoy the customers helps the worker in this effort, as they are not simply faking it, but they come to believe and internalize what they are doing for the job. Up there, there, I see you. Perfect, pay, pay, you, pay, 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 take the deal, the deal, the bell, What is critical to her analysis is when this is done for and guided by capital. It's kind of strategic. You want someone to have a reason to come back and watch your video. I think a lot of content, you actually end up with it being a one-off viral video, and I'm watching this because I like the video, like because it's a good, funny video. Yeah. It had a puppy in it. Yeah. And if you don't get connected to our personality, then, like, the chances that you are going to come back for a second video is way down. So, trying to figure out how to connect with our personality without connecting your whole life experience, without sharing everything, is a really tricky balance. How has your approach to selling a version of yourself changed since you started? Is that too broad a question? No, it's not. It's just like I'm trying to come to terms with the version of myself that I am on the internet. I think that, ultimately, it's really hard to have that version of myself not also infect the real me. And so, in this weird way, we've been held accountable to being a better person on the internet, I also just find that it is more comfortable for me to be a better person in real life and to be really thoughtful and careful and aware of the impacts I'm having on other people. But there is no doubt that I am a different person on the internet than I am in real life, and that I am very careful. And I don't think that there's anything inauthentic about that. I am the version of myself that I need to be for my own mental health, but also for the impact that I'm going to have on the people who are watching. Every job, to a certain extent, requires maintaining a certain effect. But there are a number of jobs in which maintaining a certain effect is a requirement of the position. If you are a cast member who works at Disneyland, a requirement of the position is to maintain a friendly effect. It is in your job description to make the customer feel special and to induce a feeling of happiness. Now, Anyone who interacts with a waitress or a Disneyland cast member while they appreciate and expect to receive this effect don't actually believe that this effect is genuine all of the time. The bartender at the Path Chang stores actually care about how you never see your husband, and how YouTube comments are scary and overwhelming, and how you re pretty sure that the guy as sends you these novel-length screeds about how feminists are ruining society and he's going to kill himself and you and probably 10 dozen other people is probably actually going to kill you someday. YouTubers are selling more than a service, like the bartender or the cast member. The product that YouTubers, Twitch streamers, and other influencers sell is almost exclusively affect, and this is a form of emotional labor. More and more discussion has turned to creator burnout, but most of it has focused on consistency, maintaining a schedule. Little of that discussion has focused on the emotional burden of maintaining the effect associated with the creator's brand. With this say on the sea, they Over time, little tiny micro-traumas can build up as a result of a person behaving in a way that does not reflect their emotional truth, but more importantly, that their livelihood depends on. And on some level, a part of burnout is the desire to rebel against this one-sided picture of yourself that you have painted in the interest of consistency. Some extreme examples of this are high-profile YouTubers and streamers letting racial slurs slip into their speech, or going onto other people's streams to rant about how immigrants are bad. Or maybe they got drunk in public and had a run-in with the police. It happens. I don't mean to condone random acts of racial slurs that occur during heated gaming moments, but rather suggest that a part of the burnout is a result not only of YouTube algorithm placing priority on creators who upload regularly and homogeneously, but also on the emotional labor of only showing the side of yourself that your audience wants to buy. We acknowledge that people working in the service industry don't always do it for the love of the game. A cast member at Disneyland probably works there in part because they like being nice to people. But we also accept that the effect is a part of their job, not necessarily their inner lived truth. But there's a very little sympathy for a high-profile creator who is 100% grateful for their platform 100% of the time. When the same basic idea for YouTubers comes up, that they sometimes are afraid of their fans, that maintaining an on-brand effect becomes draining and exhausting, that the expectation of constant availability can begin to do real harm, Well, that becomes a breach of trust that the creator had with his community. A part of the platform of YouTube, what some would call influencer culture, is that it's important for creators that their audience think they know you, and that your job depends on maintaining that sense of accessibility and authenticity without going crazy. The premium of authenticity is predicated on maintaining that the effect is convincing. The challenge for creators is to maintain the illusion for their followers of feeling like they do know this creator, when in reality they only know the effect, the construct, the side of the creator that the creator, most likely without their making a conscious decision to do so, has decided it is most beneficial for you, the audience, to see. It is impossible to have a personal connection to agent, faceless mass of people who are, in effect, your customers, and when the deception becomes clear, fans can get angry. But lucky for me, I don't have to worry about you guys. You re the good ones. I remember this very brief conversation you and I had at VidCon, where you were talking about making this video where you asked YouTubers kind of random trivia questions, and I was like, oh man, I'm so sorry. I hated that you had to do that while you re-hear, and you re-like, no, I actually look forward to it. It's like my one creative outlet, and that kind of surprised me because I so see anything that I put on YouTube is just work. Sometimes it's gratifying work, but at the end of the day, it's just work to me. Yeah. No. I mean, like making a video is not it. I mean, I don't know what work is. I don't know what work is anymore. I don't know what relaxing is. I don't know, like I don't really know, I don't know how to do it really well. Like, I have a hard time. I sometimes have a hard time, like being like, going to just like a gathering of friends and not, thinking about how could my time be better spent. So I do have that problem, but I do really like making YouTube videos. Like, I love to edit video. I love to. I love to be on camera. I love to write. I love the whole process coming together. I love how fast it can happen. I'm very glad that I have this thing that I get to do every week. Yeah. And in a perfect world, what would your positive impact be? I want people to smile and be happy and, like, think that that was a fun experience. 1. I want people to get excited about the universe and the world and like, how cool and weird and like, thinking critically and hard about stuff. More and more like, I want to foster some kind of better communication and among people and also more and more. I feel like that needs to happen a lot more off of the internet than is happening now. I think that we need to have more physical connection or else we will continue to become more lonely. And we need to occupy the same physical space as other human beings. So my hope is also that people find community and connection that can grow outside of and be larger than just the internet. And I don't really know how I'm trying to get that done right now, but it's something I think about a lot. No line say, I'm going to gamify going outside like Pokemon Go. It's like that. It's like that, except that I'm going to gamify friendship. Yeah. No, no, no. We got to gamify friendship. It's like the Starbucks app that gamifies coffee, where it's like, you get a star every day you get coffee. So we could gamify it by like, you get a star every time you like, see a person in the real world. Say more than 10 words to them. I like it. The only problem I have with this idea is that it's a nonprofit. We need to make money, line say. We need to get filthy rich. You. Now I'm going to cover the cake in white fondant and roll this to 1/8 of an inch thickness and a little bit of powdered sugar. Snow, snow, snow. So you love Florence and the Machine so much. So obviously I'm coming at this discussion both from the angle of a creator and as a viewer. Part of the reason I focused on cake decorating YouTube is not only because that's what I watch, but because there's something that happens in media where the scenes that are supposed to be hidden, once you see them, it's kind of hard to unsee. Asking what Man About Cake is selling is the wrong question. Man About Cake isn't trying to sell anything. It is instead the product to be bought, which it was after that influx of financing in 2014 and the launch of Man About Cake 2 years later. That was all made with an eye towards acquisition, which they were buying Universal earlier this summer, rebranding Craftsy as Blueprint on July 17th, 2018. All right, now we're all covered. I'm going to make some paper drawings and lyrics. Big corporations see the value in authenticity, even manufactured authenticity like Man About Cake or this. Old companies will pay a lot of money for brands that can successfully sell authenticity, and entire newer corporations have molded their marketing strategy around the faith viewers have in the authenticity of their favorite YouTuber or their favorite podcaster. Companies like Casper, Audible, and of course, Squarespace. Now, I hope this doesn't come across that I'm trying to make a grand sweeping statement about how thing bad, even though that does tend to be the most effective way to get popular on YouTube, but rather thing exists and thing is a part of a system that you may not even be conscious of. But all content is cultivated. No one can portray a fully lived experience on this platform. And to paraphrase the great Dolly Parton, it takes a lot of labor to appear this authentic. This video was brought to you by Squarespace. Just like Earl, squarespace.com/Lindsay Ellis for a free trial. And when you're ready to launch, use the offer code Lindsay Ellis IQS to save 10 off your first purchase of a website or domain. We bought this Earl because we were having problems with Google AdSense and my taxed number for my new corporation. And so we were really angry about it. So we just made a website where we just complain about things we don't like this dog, my new neighbor. He's getting a blog entry, free and secure hosting, nothing to upgrade ever. You can promote your business, announce events, powerful e-commerce functionality. I should try that. Nothing about your neighbor's dog, though. Easily create a website, make a video about it. Nothing about your neighbor's dog, though. Easily create a website, make it stand out. It's going to be beautiful. The future is coming. Make it brighter with Squarespace. Squarespace is coming. I am coming for this dog.